This episode of Moontower Business is brought to you by your local State Farm agent, Alejandra de la Torre. Alejandra's team has amazing customer service, knowledgeable staff, and super competitive pricing. They also have a very convenient location in Round Rock, located at 2200 North A.W. Grimes Boulevard, Suite 500. Alejandra's team is bilingual, and they have over 52 years of combined experience in the insurance industry. Alejandra's team is very friendly and helpful, and they always go the extra mile. They even have after-hours emergency availability. So please call Alejandra's State Farm team for all of your insurance needs, whether it's auto, home, life, or business. Their telephone number is 512-244-3311, or you can see their website at www.alexdelatorre.net. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Moontower Business Podcast. This is your host, Joseph Obel. Today, we're recording at the Lost Creek Country Club, and I have the privilege today of speaking with Justin Rhedrick, the author of From Bars to Bitcoin. How's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Yeah, glad to be in Austin again.
Good.
Glad to be sitting down here, man, and just ready for the interview. What a great day.
Welcome back to the great city of Austin, man.
It's a great city. Like we said before, Austin is taking off. You can't ignore Austin.
Yeah.
You can't ignore Austin. I've been to Miami a lot this year, but you cannot ignore Austin on the tech scene. You can't.
That's cool, man. So you're in town for a few days. You're doing like a Bitcoin meetup?
Yeah, I'm attending the Austin Bitcoin meetup. I had an event last night. Got rained out, but can't knock the weather, so it's all good. But yeah, we're here for the next few days up until Saturday.
Cool, man. Well, maybe you can just tell listeners a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin, like what got you interested in it, and then like some of the resources that you looked at, like books and videos to learn about Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, before we officially get started, I want to tell all your listeners hello. And if you're a noob, like a very early noob, I have a masterclass you might be interested in. It's totally free, live for everybody who's a Moontower listener. You can just send me a message at Twitter, Bitcoin_vegan. Just say masterclass, or if you're on Instagram, you can just send me the word masterclass, and I'll send you that private link to the live viewing. So entry into Bitcoin, right? That was, like I've shared a lot of times, my entry into Bitcoin just came from a long, 2016. So about like 7-9 years of just, noticing how my life was going. I've shared before that how me and my mom, we lost our home in high school. I lost a good friend of mine in high school, went to college, dropped out of college, then went to prison for 3 years, came out, knew I was going to come into entrepreneurship, but I didn't know about Bitcoin. But I was really looking for something to change my life. Like I studied how a lot of big businesses were created, but then I noticed that I always ask myself, like, how are people getting all this money? How are they really like changing their life? How are they becoming billionaires? Like, what are they doing? Where are they? And so I put that out there because I just needed something for me and my daughter to change our lives with. And then I run into an old friend by the name of Isaiah Jackson, Bitcoin Zay. And he was at a gas station, and this was in 2016. And at that point in time, I had just heard about Bitcoin. I had nothing else to do. And so I asked him, what is it? He told me it was digital money. It was like gold. It can go up in value. It was decentralized. Decentralization stood out because I could relate to that. In prison, we had stamps. And so that was like our decentralized currency. And then from there, I asked him one question. I said, are you just really getting started in this? He said, yeah, about 2 years ago. I said, all right, bet, I'm here. So I learned a lot from Zay. I learned a lot from Bitcoin Zay, who's arguably the number one Bitcoiner in the world right now. Learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from a good friend of mine named D. Miller L. Some resources back in 2016. It was the crazy part was back in those days, the knowledge, you could tell that the knowledge was either pure or like not.
Right.
It wasn't all these different altcoins and poop coins for the listeners.
Yeah.
That gets you confused. It's like, hey, this is Bitcoin. This is Bitcoin. There was like Ethereum. There were like the other 10, but Bitcoin was there, and it was easy for you to really hone in on what Bitcoin was. And back in those days, you had to really like apply work to get Bitcoin. So the knowledge itself, resources. I was really blessed to have like, Zay and Miller L as like guys to really go to, because they were just so far advanced. They both got in like 2013, 2014. So there wasn't a lot of resources like today. Those were the early ones.
Man, I can relate to that. Like, I feel like nowadays there's just so much stuff out there on YouTube. Mm-hmm. There's so many like books. And when I got into like Bitcoin, I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't know of the difference between that and Ethereum and anything else. And like, I thought maybe I should be buying Ethereum too, you know what I mean? Or I don't know, like Dogecoin or something. But like, then you like start reading about it. I read like the Bitcoin Standard, and you learn like the history of money. Mm-hmm. And then you like learn what makes like hard money mm-hmm. and like something that holds value. And like, that's not these other coins, you know what I mean? And it takes a while to kind of like realize that. And it's I think it's difficult nowadays for people to like, invest the time to like learn about it, fall down the rabbit hole, as they say, and do it. But I mean, I don't know what it is, man. Once you start learning about it, you get hooked, and like, you just got to learn more and more. And like, there is so much to learn, right? There's not like, nobody knows it all, right?
No one. And that's the thing, like, Bitcoin is only 13 years old, and no one still knows it all. I mean, except for Satoshi, but we can't hear from him, so we don't know who knows it all. But I think what you said earlier, knowing what money is, like, that was very interesting. That might be one of the most very interesting things, because more times than not, before I came into Bitcoin, I didn't know that there was a definition term of money. Yeah. I didn't know really the history of money and the changes and transitions of money. And then, you get to like, like you said, the hard money, the scarcity part, the divisibility, the fungibility, the uniformity, acceptance. You hear all these things and you're like, what? How does that work? But it's working on a subconscious level. Yeah. So then, that type of knowledge brings to the forefront, because I'm like, what's the guy's name? I'm like Booker T. Washington. I didn't have any knowledge, but I just hopped in and it started working. Like what they consider like a wonk. You just really learn it by being there. And so then I started noticing the only thing I could compare was, okay, if this is what Bitcoin is, this is what finance is, I would look at Bitcoin like, all right, this is, it's a consensus. It's a line straight to the bottom. Mm-hmm. And then I would look what Bitcoin was and compare it to what traditional finance is. And then I would see the holes in traditional money. Yeah. And that opened my eyes a lot, because it's like, wow, like here's a neat fact. What do you think mining is all about? Bitcoin mining. What do you think mining is for?
Bitcoin mining is to produce more, like to make the transactions, validate the transactions and create more Bitcoin.
All right, now that's a good answer. But here's another answer of it. The mining of Bitcoin is what really keeps Bitcoin decentralized. Issuance, like it's mathematically put in to have a certain amount come in every day, every 10 minutes. So the first 4 years, it was like 7,200 Bitcoin was mined every day for the first 2008, 2012. Mm-hmm. Then you had all the halvings take place. So now we're at 900 Bitcoin a day. Now, what blows my mind about this is how much money was printed last year.
A lot.
Right. And so it's like when people start asking about the price of Bitcoin, it might not have nothing to do with how much Bitcoin you buy. I mean, it does. We can't knock that. But essentially, it's mathematically put in for it to become less, for more to be put out, less and less over time. Right. And when you compare that to what just took place last year, within itself, it's like you had humans making that judgment call. Yeah. Here, they can't, even through the pandemic, we didn't put out more Bitcoin that was supposed to be out. Yeah. And so that decentralization, that issuance, that whole just making it that hard money, is like incredible, because now you can't just go print more Bitcoin because you need a stimulus check.
Right, man. It's crazy to kind of like I didn't, before knowing about Bitcoin, like all I knew was about, regular money, cash, like what we call fiat currency, right?
Yeah.
And like, I just thought that was the best form of currency, right? Because that's just what you're brainwashed to like think growing up, right? But then like you think you start learning about the history of money, learning about like it used to be backed by gold, and then in 1971 it's not backed by gold anymore. It's just not backed by anything, and they're just printing a bunch of it,
right?
And then you got this hard asset here that's like it's finite. You know what I mean? And they're like, how's that not better than fiat currency? And then just some people just don't get it, and it takes a while to kind of let that sink in. You know what I mean?
Because you gotta overcome the fact that like people who've been telling you about money probably like it's such a mindset shift, man. Because you'll start noticing like, so when your grandparents might tell you stories like, well, this cost this back in my day. It sounds like a funny story, like, oh, hell, y'all can get like a month's worth of groceries for $5.
Yeah.
But when you get older and you start really looking at it, it's like those are the same type of groceries, but $5 might get me 2 pounds of bell peppers.
Yeah.
The food itself did not change in value. It still produces the same, maybe more, maybe less value, but the price is astronomically different. Right. So like you would hear these stories growing up, like, yeah, we could do this back in my day, but the folks who were telling me the story could not understand why the price was going up.
Yeah.
And so when you add in, the gold standard being removed, you add in the issuance of how the dollars are put out in circulation, it's like, damn, the price has no choice of not. Things that operate on the USD have no choice but to go up in price, but not value over time.
Yeah, value dollars going down, value of Bitcoin's going up over time. which one do you want, right?
Yeah. Like, you got to go with the hard money.
That's what's up, man. Tell us what inspired you to write your book.
So what inspired me, I had this business coach of mine. Her name is Jen Goday. She actually lives in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
She wrote a book. She was like, hey, I'm writing my book. You should write one. You have a unique story. I'm like, all right, I'll think about it. I was playing around with the idea. And then when Isaiah, his book started getting national, international attention, I remember calling him one day. I said, hey, man, congrats. This is dope, whatever. He didn't even say thank you. He said, so when you going to write your book? Like, really? He said, yeah. He said, things happen when you're an author. Like, you are put into a different category. But you also have a story, a unique story. And so I wrote the book, number one, because I wanted people to be able to be confident walking to the beat of their own drum, without people calling them crazy. You think you're crazy. You're amongst all these other people, and they're doing what the said norm is. And you want to live this different life, but you don't know how. You're too much in your head about, what is the right thing to do. So in my book, I share my story, like I said in the beginning, going from homelessness, watching a friend get murdered, prison, then the Bitcoin. But I tell that story in a way so people can, see that they still have hope, see that no matter what's going on, you can make it. And also I had one woman read my book. She said, your book made me look at myself to see, am I going hard enough? Am I really, or am I making too many excuses? So I wrote the book to introduce people to me in hopes that my story would be gems for them to like go at it. No matter where you are in life,
go inspired.
Go at it. It don't matter if you're flipping burgers, if you're a CEO of Fortune 500, you want a Fortune 100 company, you still have to do something different than what you're doing. And so to inspire folks to give hope and ultimately lead them to Bitcoin.
That's awesome. That's good stuff, man.
Yes, sir.
So you're a Bitcoin educator, and you're also kind of like a life coach as well. What kind of stuff are you involved in? Like do you do like Bitcoin meetups and stuff like that?
So I'm looking to try to do different ways of Bitcoin meetups. Like even this tour, I'm thinking like, all right, how could I do like national Bitcoin meetups? Like if I go here, I might do a book signing, but then we're doing the Bitcoin vegan meetup here.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting. I've gone to Bitcoin meetups in Charlotte. We actually had an event. Me and my friend Jacob, we came up with the name Halloween. Halloween.
I like it.
So that was our very first time, doing that Halloween party. And we want to make that like a big national event. So even global, depending upon how COVID is. But my first meetup was at Bitcoin Charlotte.
Okay.
I'll be going to one tonight in Austin, but I haven't really been to a lot of meetups. I'm also a member of the Black Bitcoin Billionaires on Clubhouse. We meet on there every day, but I'm looking to try to just reshape how things are done, or just add something new to the game. It's still the same, meetup feel, but just add a different way of doing it.
Yeah. I think I remember when you talked to Peter McCormick on the podcast, you were talking about maybe doing like educating people in prison about Bitcoin.
Oh yeah. So that's definitely in the works. We're a few steps away. We got in touch with the Virginia Department of Correction facility, so we have to have a few more sit downs. We have a production company willing to film it, so a lot of big things in work with that. Spoke to a few companies about sponsorships about it, but the idea with that, and I was telling Peter, and I was also on CoinDesk sharing this with Mike Novogratz and Isaiah Jackson. The idea with that is to get people interested in something before they come home.
Yeah.
Because ideally, when guys are leaving prison, or even when people leave prison, they're hoping for something big.
Yeah.
Like you're hoping for something big that you feel might not happen. So in my idea, if you intercept them before getting out with that opportunity,
yeah,
they can walk through the door with orange peel, basically.
Yeah.
But if you give them an opportunity, then they have to walk out the door. There's a lot more distractions. Oh, we got all of these guys or people in your face, and they can deter you from what you really wanted. So the idea is to get in there before they leave, be able to, create a plan or something in your head, no matter if you have like a year before you get out or 6 months. You're like, okay, this Bitcoin stuff is really, it's real, this, that, and the third. And then you'll be able to have, people walk out of prison ready to produce to society.
Right.
And hopefully ready to produce society in Bitcoin, you know? So it's like, for instance, there is in the world right now, especially in America, you have a problem with everybody being able to get a job. Nobody can seem to hire anybody. Nobody wants to work.
Right.
Or you can't hire them, I don't know. But you have Bitcoin companies asking the same question. What Bitcoiner wants to work? You got Swan Bitcoin. I've seen Bitcoin Magazine. I've seen all the companies on Twitter just throw it out there. And it's like, all right, well, here's the idea. I'm going to go inside prison, me and a few people, educate as best as possible, give more breadcrumbs. When they get out, they can get trained on certain things, and you can have Bitcoin workers.
Yeah.
You can have guys or women, Bitcoiners, who are, and here's another thing, when you have an opportunity for someone to come home out of prison and do it, they're eager to work.
Right.
And then it's double eager because they're a part of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then they're also creating a future they never saw happen.
Right.
So the idea to go inside a prison and, like I said, intercept them before they leave, and like I like to call, syringe them with the orange medicine before they leave, it just segues into society a different person. And that type of relief to someone's mind can really give you determination to do something different. That's all it's about. Like, and it's a win-win it'll be a win-win for America.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have people who can't be rehabilitated, you're going to keep imprisoning America. And the more folks that go to prison, the more taxes we have to pay for, and you still don't have no one in the working force.
Yeah. So
it's a little bit, it might sound like a little bit, but it's a big macro vision.
It is, man. And you know what? A lot of people don't think about, like the people, especially that don't know a lot about Bitcoin, is that, somebody's in prison that learns about it. It's not like they're just going to get out and like buy Bitcoin. That's the only option, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge ecosystem of like businesses and companies and like people in the Bitcoin space. Pomp has that website where it's like Bitcoin jobs, like all over the country, all over the world. You know what I mean? And so like, and right now, like nowadays, you can do a lot of stuff remote. You know what I mean? So like people can find like really good opportunities in the Bitcoin space. And then at the same time, like make money, save it, and like, be able to like have, store some wealth for their family in the future.
Yeah. Like, cause that was my idea. Like, so when I first, saw Bitcoin, I'm thinking, what do I got to learn? Like I put together a lightning node with no experience, just off of reading, Will had a computer, had a group of friends, he knew the code. We would, copy and paste in the command line. And those are the roughest days ever, but that stretches you. Like those are the opportunities. Like, so in Clubhouse, we have a group called From Bars to Bitcoin, a room. We have two guys in there who are like faithfuls, named Beta and Todd. They did like a combined like 40 to 50 years in prison. They came home like 2.5 years ago. They were both in halfway houses, right? But now it's like you're here now. They're in Bitcoin with no question.
Yeah.
You know, working whatever they're working, but seeing Bitcoin as that option.
Yeah.
You know, you have a unique, even 1,000,000 Satoshis is a lot.
Right.
Like you have a unique opportunity to change people's lives. And, you know, that's why I'm passionate about. Even another thing is like, you know, Miami, working with a few people to just bring Bitcoin more to folks who need it. You know, everybody needs it, but there are a lot of people who don't feel they can get in. They don't think, oh, I qualify enough. You know, it's a mindset about thinking I don't have enough. It's like scarcity.
Yep.
It's the wrong scarcity though, but you know, it's the scarcity that'll hold you back. So those opportunities, man. I remember Mike Novogratz he said, you know, when you have an opportunity to, you know, feed yourself, you move through life with a different confidence. You have more dignity about what you're doing because you're able to see yourself really changing your life and making your life better for your family, whatever. So, you know, within that regard, it stands that if you really want mass adoption, you have to go where everyone is.
Yeah.
You know, not just to like how everybody's going to El Salvador. Cool. Well, I'm gonna look at it like, all right, well, we have all these people in prison. Let's see who we can orange peel out of those people. And then you just see another rise of Bitcoin.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. And I like to give people Bitcoin, you know, even if it's like $20 and then, you know, they have it, they hold it and they see it like in a couple months, it good doubles or something. And they're like, you know, hey, maybe I should look into this thing. Right. But I like that, man. You're spreading the word and you know, giving people something to look forward to, something to be inspired about and change your life around. You know what I mean? That's a very positive thing.
It has to happen. Otherwise, it'll be good for Bitcoin, man. You know, we're not a money. You know, yeah, we're here to change the financial system, but we're not a money. It's a community. So you have to have different people in this community.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't have techies and finance guys. You got to have people. And then, like I said, every company in Bitcoin, who wants to work? Well, not a lot of the old Bitcoiners want to work, and not a lot of the Bitcoiners who have a lot of money to buy a lot of Bitcoin now want to work either. But there will be people who want to work. You just have to find those people or train them. Yeah. Like Bitcoin is an asymmetric type of situation. So you can learn. I learned about Bitcoin really in my mom's basement. You can learn when I realized that there was no college degree you had to get. You didn't have to go through those certain certifications. You didn't have to do all of this stuff like you would like with traditional business or investments or anything. Well, really, your success or your plight in Bitcoin goes at how many proof of work.
Right.
It's all about proof of work.
Right.
All about the computers have to put in work. If you don't buy Bitcoin today at $60-some thousand and you can afford it, you're going to do more work to buy it at $100,000. Proof of work.
Yeah.
If you have no skills at all, you sit around and you study Bitcoin. And that's what I had to do, study Bitcoin almost 8 hours a day while everybody else was at work. You still have to put in that work. And now that there's proof of that work to where we are today. So you are able to just put in work to have value. You know, it's just how nature works. There's no one in the way to diminish the work you're doing. There's no one in the way to say you have to now do this, you have to now do this before you're qualified to do this. No, you have to make a decision. If I have nothing else, I had nothing else going on in my life. And it was like, why not just do Bitcoin?
Yep.
If the world is going that way, go to where the world is going. It's like Wayne Gretzky said, I never go to the puck. I go to where the puck is going.
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at Bitcoin.
It's cool to see it every day, like how more and more like Bitcoiners are making a name for it and doing things in the world. Like the mayor that just got elected in New York City, he's a Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You got like
politicians have Bitcoin.
Politicians, yeah. You got like CEOs of like billion-dollar companies that are doing it. You got athletes, like everybody's doing it. You know what I mean? And so like that's where the world's going, man. And that's the direction we need to kind of start looking in.
Right. Yeah. The world is headed there. Beat the world there. It's there's opportunities. They don't last forever.
Yeah.
You know, opportunities do not last forever. And we're, like I said, we're almost going to reach that point where like 1,000,000 Satoshis will be hard for one person to buy.
we're still early.
We're still early.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, 13 years old, Bitcoin's like young. If you think of it in the grand scheme of things, like that's not a long time. Like
it's not. It's the teenager. It really hasn't even been born if you compare it to gold and other markets, right? And here we are, top 10 market cap of all assets. So
62 grand for a Bitcoin right now. It's crazy. Yeah,
it's already beaten. If you've reached, sometimes you can't really judge things off of where you current, like your position. You gotta look at the time span. If you got to top 10 anything in your life where it's taken other people hundreds, 20 years minimum, maybe even 50 years minimum, and your work rate has gotten you in that top 10 within 12, 13 years, you've already beaten everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going, as long as you stay consistent, you've already beaten everybody.
Yep.
So we're in a great space, man. We're still learning.
Talk about that masterclass, man. Let's hear more about that.
So the masterclass is this. The masterclass goes into detail, just showing. It's kind of like when you're on an airplane and the flight attendants, say check what's under the car. Under the seat, your head. I'm lost. Your inflation, all that stuff. So the masterclass is basically where I'm sharing with you a model of what I like to call the convicted conviction. How do you build conviction? And the things you need to have conviction. Because without conviction in Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about the 100Xs. You don't have to worry about seeing the astronomical returns most people see. If you don't have conviction, if you don't know how valuable conviction is before getting in Bitcoin, you'll be saying, hey, I quadrupled my money. And everybody else will be like, great, but why aren't you still holding? You go to left and right. So I talk about the importance of time, using your time wisely, having how to use your emotions, securing Bitcoin, accepting it, and how those things can be beneficial for you as a person, as a business, as a family. But the biggest part is like building conviction. Even Warren Buffett, he's not a Bitcoin guy, but he talks about conviction in stocks and investment. If you don't have any conviction, if you can't put, you can't put 10% of your net worth into an investment, then is it really worth buying?
Right.
And in my eyes, when I came home from prison, it was like, what do I and a billionaire have in common? And I noticed that all billionaires placed a lot of time in what they wanted.
Yeah.
Like 10, 20, your whole life.
Yeah.
If you put your whole life towards something, you should become a billionaire. Like, that's the reward.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, look at Elon.
Yeah.
His whole life goes to what those Tesla, SpaceX, what's his other one? Tesla, SpaceX, he'll come to me. The rocket ships. But anyway, you look at it. So that's where I was. It's like, all right, preaching the importance of conviction and having that. But that conviction comes through knowledge.
Yeah.
If you know nothing of Bitcoin, then you're not going to be able to do it. Receive even the 10X. If you don't know that the dips are real, then you're not going to be able to ever make it. So just building up that conviction in people, showing them that that's one of the most non-talked about things you need to have long-term success in anything, but definitely in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's the only asset I feel like that the people that are into that asset are always looking for it to go down.
Yeah.
So
we welcome market manipulation.
Yeah, I see it going up. I'm like, I just can't wait for the dip so I can get some more.
And there'll be a dip soon. I don't know when, but I don't know when.
So what's the platform for the masterclass you do? Like, is it?
So just on Webinar Jam.
Okay.
Webinar Jam, nothing too serious.
How people can find it? Is it like?
So if you go to they can send me like a message on my social media. Bitcoin Vegan Justin on Instagram, Bitcoin_vegan on Twitter. But if you go to the link in my bio as well, you can see where it says masterclass that'll be next week. So it's best for folks to just go sign up whenever they see the link, whether they hear this recording today, next week, next year, go sign up for the masterclass. Awesome,
man. Awesome. Switching gears a little bit, man. We were talking about this earlier, but I know you're a boxer.
Yes.
Talk about how you got into that and what that experience has been for you, like in your life.
So I learned how to box in prison. The very first sport I ever competed in as a child was karate. At like 7 years old, I won the nationals in karate. I didn't want to keep I didn't like karate. I wanted to box. And my mom was like, no, Mike Tyson, she just see him knocking out people. She never thought like I could be the one knocking people out.
Yeah.
It was just a fear of like going immediately to the negative. So I was like, all right. So for years I wasn't there. My mom never signed me up for boxing. So I was in prison. I saw these guys training and I was like, man, I want to do that. And I'm like, yeah, I do. So for like 8 months, all I would do was go to the yard. I would just train on boxing. I remember waking up and we had like this, and surprisingly enough, they had a gym that had a boxing bag, the heavy bag, and they had hand mitts. I was like, wow, y'all really let y'all box? It was the only prison in North Carolina I saw that they actually let you box and train. And I was like, okay, well, I really want to do this. So the very first time in the morning, I remember the guy's name was Magnetic. He said, yo, let's go outside and put in some work. So he said, I want you to work on your jab and your 1-2. And I had to wrap my hand with like a sock and gardening gloves. And there was a pad on the basketball, like a thick blue pad, like the one you see in the gym, in elementary school. It had this steel beam holding up the goal. And like he said, all right, just punch the bag. And all you hear was bing, bing. And I would hit that bag so much that for like a week, I came right home. Oh, wow. And it transformed my knuckles. Like this used to be like this. And now it's like it'll turn your hands into stone almost. But from there, like we used to work out every day. And so then when I came home, I had joined Dime Boxing. And, that was an experience. Like I said, boxing is the hardest sport in the world to learn. And it doesn't matter, if you're looking to go pro, if you're looking to, just get better with defending yourself, there's something like you become a different person. Yeah. And you take life on no matter what. Yeah. Like after a lot of people who are listening probably have never been hit in the face, or they probably have, but you were probably scared to get hit in the face and you thought you would break, your jaw would break, you start bleeding all over the place. And when you actually do and you realize none of that happens, it wakens something else up in you. So boxing is a great thing to get into.
That's a cool story, man. I think I told you I just started a few months ago, and it's such a good experience, man. It's so difficult. I think it teaches you like discipline. It makes you stronger. It makes you kind of look at things differently. And I'm enjoying it. I haven't fought anybody yet. I'm building up to that. And I'm looking forward to getting hit.
It's going to happen. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Number one, it will happen. And the greatest things about it is like the hidden gem was 3 of them. Number one, like boxing enables you to think at different angles on the fly, but it's kind of meticulous. Like if I notice if I notice that you're noticing a rhythm I have to immediately move. I have to change that rhythm before you notice that I'm doing that. Yeah. Because subconsciously something will start happening where you'll pick it up. So you got to think differently, like on the fly and at different like mental angles. Then from there, you have to like stay relaxed while someone is trying to kill you.
And that's hard to do, man. That is hard to do. Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes some time, but you focus on staying relaxed. You focus on your breathing. And then like my coach Presley said, eventually you'll welcome it. You have to be able to welcome it. And that translates to life. Like I remember one time this guy was really beating my ass badly. And only thing I heard coach was like, just start swinging. And you just see the tide turn. Yeah. But boxing is like life. Like you're not going to be able to say, can I get a timeout? Can you stop? Until the bell rings. And in 3 minutes, you could be on the floor. So it's like you have to understand that that's how life is. You could be about to go into a deal close. Hey, you could try to, speak to a new client. They're giving you the run around. Now you got to still put that client on hold and go to someone else. Like you still have to understand you have to keep going. Yeah. And that's how boxing was able to help me in entrepreneurship. It's like, it does not matter. You have to stay relaxed. If this one didn't go, you have to be ready to go to the next one because life is still coming. Yeah. The bills, children, whatever. Like life is still happening. And life isn't, I remember it was on Rocky. He said, nothing hits harder than life. Yeah. Nothing hits harder than life. And boxing helps you in life. it's synonymous to life, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more, man. Yeah, I remember training with my coach, and we're sparring, but we weren't doing any headshots, just body shots. And he starts throwing punches at me, and I'm just super tense.
Right,
He's like, "You got to loosen up. You got to relax." I'm like, "How am I ever getting relaxed right now?"
It's the science. It's like, because I think what helped me get relaxed was doing some yoga, but it's because it's a science. Like, if you are tensed up, you know how you have a garden hose and you have a knot in it, and the water doesn't get to the end. That's like, if you're that tense in boxing, oxygen can't get to your muscles.
Yeah.
And as you're getting hit, you're holding your breath, fear, all this is going on in your head, and it's only a matter of time before you start going down. So it's like, it's a process, but relaxing, and then it'll make you more dangerous, because when you're more relaxed and someone's throwing punches at you, in their mind, they're thinking, "What the hell is wrong with Chelsea?" People usually, he's not doing nothing, and you're focusing on him. It's a big mental game. It's a mental game, but being relaxed has to be, and knowing how to breathe is one of the most key important things I'll ever tell somebody.
Absolutely, man. Hey, well, how about some closing thoughts for listeners on your book, how they can learn more about you, how can they find your masterclass, how can they follow you online, and just whatever you want to highlight for them about Bitcoin.
So one thing about Bitcoin is this: you can't cheat Bitcoin. You don't need to try to go buy altcoins or go buy more Bitcoin, because that game could work once and then not anymore.
Right.
So the best bet is to always buy what you can, and remember, you can buy Bitcoin in fractions. And we're at a very special time in the world where you have billionaires and countries fighting over Bitcoin. Michael Saylor said it best. Bitcoin Magazine, he had him on Twitter Spaces yesterday. He said that Bitcoin is not like digital gold no more. It's like property. And he said, what can you do with that property? He said, you can lean it, you can upgrade it, you can rent it out, you can sell it, you can do anything with the property. Bitcoin is like property rights. He said Bitcoin isn't like gold because you can't do any of that with gold. So, and then he also said something very dope. He was like, making the difference between securities and property. And he was saying that everything, when you have security rights, it's not the same as property rights. Well, Bitcoin is the one thing where you have those property rights that push you on the same level as a billionaire buying hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. And he really earned my respect with that analogy. I was just like, wow. So, yeah, that was deep. I had to really just give my hat to him. If he ever hears this, great job. So within that, though, for my book, you can go from barstobitcoin.com. You can buy it there. You can go to Amazon and check it out. And again, the book is really my story about that transition, going from bars to Bitcoin. I got to sign that on air.
Yeah.
Going from bars to Bitcoin is really it's a transition, though, because you might not be in prison. Your ultimate goal in life might not be Bitcoin, but you could be in prison in your mind and you still have that goal that you have to get to.
Yep. So
in the book, I talk about the orca mentality, and that's running crazy in the Bitcoin space. And the reason I even thought about that was because popularity-wise, you would think the shark is the biggest, baddest animal in the water.
Yeah.
But sharks get hunted by orcas. Now, what is an orca? The orcas, they're more intelligent than sharks. They work in packs. They communicate. They have different levels of skills. Orcas are so smart, they don't hunt humans, so they don't get hunted by humans. That's the intelligence that you have to have in business and in life that when I learned about it, I said, well, I'm going to tap into more of that type of mentality.
Yep.
Working with people. How do you communicate, and being still working at a high level. So that's, the book from barstobitcoin.com, my masterclass and all my courses. You can find those, like I said, in the link tree on my social medias, Twitter, Bitcoin_vegan, Instagram, Bitcoin Vegan Justin. And if they just wanted to, man, you can just reach out to me and say, hey, man, I need the masterclass, or I want the course link. And, those are kind of top tier services for folks, because nowadays people have to really you want to be able to coming to Bitcoin to make an impact.
Yeah.
You know, and so you gotta want to be able to make an impact and take yourself to the next level. So everything I do is about helping folks get to that next level of themselves, of their life, business, wherever.
That's awesome, man. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem.
Really enjoyed speaking with you, man. You have a great story. I think you're doing some awesome stuff. You have some awesome stuff in the works. You need to come to Austin more often. Maybe think about moving over here.
Hey, man, listen, man. I actually like I said, y'all have something neat going on. Y'all have a 3D home community, and I'm becoming an advocate for 3D homes. They're neat. I think they have a great upside. And as usual, the one thing that got me to Bitcoin, I tell you this, no one was talking about it. At that point in time in 2016, everyone was looking at Bitcoin as, you know, this thing that's negative. No one is on it. No one is talking about it. And that was my indication. So I feel the same way about 3D printed homes. And I want to see that community they have in Austin that's full of 3D houses.
Yeah, check it out, man. It's innovative stuff.
So have you ever had someone do a book signing on air?
I have not. I appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.
So I just got this book. I ordered it on Amazon. I'm looking forward to digging in and reading your book. Sounds like a great story. All right, man. I really appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Listeners, please check out Justin's book. Go online, learn more about him, follow him on Twitter. He's always putting out great content, and hope we can have you again on the podcast sometime.
In person, I'll be here again.
Let's do it, man. All right.
This episode is brought to you by our affiliate Gemini. Gemini is a well-respected cryptocurrency exchange started by Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss. If you're interested in purchasing Bitcoin, Ethereum, or other altcoins, please check out their website at gemini.sjv.io/Moontower to learn all about it. Thank you.